Hello, everyone. Absolute pleasure to be here virtually with all of you. What I'll do is I'll probably over the next 15, 20 minutes, talk about two broad themes. Firstly, when I look at where we are today, I think that there is a profound crisis that we are in the midst of. It's not I think, but actually I know. And I'll tell you why. If you can just go to the next slide, please. Today, when you look at the whole world of marketing, first and foremost, there have been studies which have been shown amongst CEOs. There have been surveys around the world, which showed that more than 70% of the CEOs have no confidence in their CMOs. They don't have any confidence that their marketing teams will drive the business because they don't understand the business. And in that kind of a situation, firstly, it's a disaster in itself when an overwhelming majority of CEOs think that their marketing teams and their CMOs don't know how to drive business. That's terrible news, number one. As a result, many of the companies have started doing away with the role of CMOs. And these are not some obscure industrial companies, but they are blue chip packaged goods companies like Johnson & Johnson. There have been companies like Coca-Cola who have done away with the role of a CMO for a couple of years. And then they have brought back, and we got to see where the future goes there. But the point is, many, many companies around the world are doing away with the role of CMO on the one hand. And on the other hand, they are creating new roles like Chief Growth Officer, Chief Customer Officer, Chief Revenue Officer, either to substitute or to complement CMOs. Now look at the situation. If you take away revenue or growth or customers, what are marketers supposed to be doing anyway? So when you have a Chief Growth Officer or a Chief Revenue Officer or a Chief Customer Officer, you need to wonder what exactly is the role that a CMO is playing there. Take another situation. Marketing is being fragmented. So those of you who have read Philip Kotler, the classical model was you had the 4 Ps of marketing. And if you look at today, many companies do not have the responsibility for products within marketing. They don't have responsibility for place, which is distribution or logistics. They don't manage pricing. Now then you wonder, without these 3 Ps, and if they are barely hanging on to 1 P, which is promotion, and even in that promotion, the thematic promotion is what the marketers do, but the schematic promotions are being done by the salespeople or somebody else. You see clearly that marketing is losing its seat at the table, and it is eroding, unfortunately. Whether we admit it or not, that's a reality. And I keep talking to my peers from other companies and sort of try to listen to them and see what's happening in their respective companies. And unfortunately, this story is prevalent pretty widely across. And if you look back and ask, why is it so? Right? Because marketing at the end of the day is such an important function. I could actually come up with 3 hypotheses as to why. Hypothesis number 1, marketers were traditionally excellent because they were right brain thinkers. They were creative, innovative. They have an artistic and aesthetic sensibilities. They understand the softer aspects of people's emotions and what drives those emotions and so on. They have excelled at it. However, when the world changed in the mid-1990s, and when internet and data analytics came into the field of marketing, these are, on the one hand, technology, the other hand, it is data. Marketers started feeling a little out of place, and many of the marketers could not get their heads around these 2 areas. So they started getting left behind. But there is so much of data analytics available, many of the CEOs would ask the marketers, okay, I'm giving you so many $1 million. What are you giving us to the business back? What are the outcomes of the business that you are driving? Most of the times, and I have seen this firsthand, some of the marketers or many of the marketers, their answers are very marketing type answers, which means they say, oh, my brand awareness has gone up. my net promoter score has gone up, or my brand predisposition has gone up, etc. Now, that's probably the biggest blunder that marketers make. When you are asked a business question, your answer has to be a business answer. If you are asked a finance question, your answer has to be a finance answer, a financial answer. The moment you give a marketing answer to a business question or to a finance question, it looks like either you don't know the numbers or you don't know what exactly is the contribution that you're driving to the company's results, or that you're not comfortable with that whole field of numbers, which is even more disastrous. That is the beginning of the erosion of trust and credibility that a CEO may have or a CFO may have on the marketing department. And that is one big part of it. Now, the second thing is, if you look at how we went from one stage of evolution to the next stage of evolution. So when we entered what I call the fourth paradigm of marketing, with the advent of mobile devices, iPhone was launched in 2007, and then you had the scaling of Facebook, and that was the beginning of social media. Again, marketing had gone through a humongous amount of disruption. And when that happened, again, marketers were struggling to keep pace with. Now, a new breed of folks were coming in, doing marketing tasks, but they were not trained in marketing. They were not trained in classical marketing whatsoever. So there is a supplanting of marketers that has been happening. That's number two. And number three, when marketers were under stress and under pressure to demonstrate results, and when they're giving the marketing jargon back to justify why they should get their budgets and so on, I think they started building moats around their departments and sort of not be transparent. So if a CFO asks, okay, let me see what the details are, there is a tendency to hide. And that's pretty prevalent, and I can understand why it is so. The net of all this is marketers are losing their credibility, they're losing their seat at the table. I know these are very strong statements I'm making, but I know exactly what I'm talking about. So this is number one. Now I'll go to the second aspect, which is about where we are right now, as far as the marketing is concerned, and why probably this is one of the most challenging times to be in marketing, but also one of the most inspiring moments to be in marketing. So let me just talk to you as to why it is so. Now, marketing as a field was being practiced since antiquity. When people looked in the ruins of Pompeii, they could actually find marketing campaigns out there. And if you think location-based marketing is only being done today, you'll be surprised that in a rudimentary form, location-based marketing was being done way back 2,000 years ago. So the point is that since then, marketing has been there, and even before that, it was being practiced forever, but it kept evolving. Marketing in the original days used to be all focused on essentially product. I have a great product. I create a fantastic design for that. I put a great packaging and I sell it at the right price, and people will come and buy my product. Why? Because when you give everything right, why would people refuse you? Because people are supposed to be thinking logically and rationally. Probably that was the premise that prevailed in the world of marketing for the longest. Till such time, marketers actually discovered the joys of psychology, sociology, anthropology. And when these fields have come, interestingly, marketers discovered that consumers don't make their decisions logically or rationally, but in fact, they are driven by emotions and feelings, many times irrational. And so marketers pivoted to emotional marketing. So from product marketing, which was all the first paradigm of marketing, they moved to the second paradigm of marketing, which is emotional marketing. And in emotional marketing, you would actually tell beautiful stories about your product or your brand, bring them to life. And with the advent of radio and television, you could tell your stories in a very compelling fashion. And those two technologies really drove emotional marketing to a very, very sophisticated level. So much so that marketers said, we don't even need to show our product. We just talk about some emotion and our product will get sold. And a living, thriving example of that is Mastercard. We launched our Priceless campaign, where we show a father and a son going to a baseball match, and we said the price of the baseball ticket matched game ticket is some $10, and soda is $5, and autograph ball $40. But the time spent with your 11-year-old son, that is priceless. Those are the things that you need to focus in life. For everything else, there is Mastercard. Brilliant campaign the moment it was launched. I wish I could say I launched it. I did not. I inherited the campaign. But kudos to my predecessor who has actually launched it. An astoundingly successful campaign. We don't talk about credit limits, cashback, rewards, or security, or convenience, nothing. We talk about the feelings between a father and a son. This is the height of emotional marketing. Coca-Cola has done the same thing with open a bottle of happiness. They don't talk about the fizz or the taste or the price or the quantity or the refreshing feeling, nothing. Open a bottle of happiness. This is emotional marketing. It was doing very well. Marketers were thriving. That's when, in mid-1990s, when data was discovered by marketers. Till then, data used to be the purvey of the geeks and the nerds and the scientists and the economists. And suddenly, when it came into the field of marketing, you could do precision marketing. You could measure the effectiveness of your marketing. And that changed the game. And that's when the struggling of the marketers had begun. And coupled with that, when internet has been launched together with that, your ability to reach consumers at scale has totally altered compared to relying on either telemarketing or doing your snail mail. It has totally changed marketing, and that was the birth of digital marketing. That was the third paradigm of marketing. It lasted well till 2007, when two new technologies came in, the mobile and the social media. And again, marketing had to go through a reinvention. And we have got social media marketing, influencer marketing, mobile marketing, location-based marketing, all these good things have come in. Now, this is the paradigm that we are in at this point in time. Fourth paradigm. Now, we are at the verge of the fifth paradigm. If you notice, every one of the previous paradigms was really ushered in by a couple of technologies. But now, we are at the verge of being, and we are actually at the forefront. We are about to receive more than 24 technologies. You're talking of artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality, wearables, Internet of Things, autonomous driving cars, drones for delivery, or you got 3D printing, blockchains. 24 technologies are coming at us in literally like a tsunami at us. And they are going to disrupt both people's lives in a very good way, but they're also going to be challenging marketers in an unprecedented way. Already today, a number of classical marketing approaches are breaking down. Purchase funnel as a concept we used to study: awareness, interest, desire, action, satisfaction. The IDAS model doesn't work. There is no purchase funnel today that we used to even see a few years back. When you look at things like your price elasticity, that has completely changed. When you look at the word of mouth dynamics, totally changed with the advent of particularly the social media. Everything is being sort of put on its head and things are actually falling apart. And when I look forward and then see what is it we should do, first and foremost, we need to revisit every aspect of marketing and see how it is going to be. Firstly, is it valid? And if it is not valid, how do you actually change it for the future? How do you reimagine marketing? Just like Rahul was giving in the introduction, in the past, that's exactly what happened in physics. When classical physics failed, quantum physics came in. And that's what a lot of our science today is founded on. I'm saying in exactly the same way, classical marketing is breaking down. And I'll give you a couple of examples. And we need to reinvent marketing. And that new way of doing marketing is quantum marketing. So let me give you a couple of examples. We spend, as marketers, hundreds of billions with a B, hundreds of billions of dollars every year as an industry behind loyalty programs. Now, I came across an interesting article on bbc.com. They have done a survey. I don't know how they have done the survey, but they have done the survey. And the survey has shown that people in a relationship, whether it is a marriage or a committed live-in relationship, call it whatever, more than 70% of the people have admitted to have cheated on their partners. I was very intrigued. I was pretty surprised at the number. But I was very intrigued. I started searching more information around it and started seeing a lot of other studies which were validating, and some almost stated that this is an understated number because many people don't admit to having cheated if they have. So this number is probably very conservative. That gave me a wake-up call to say, look, in a real life, in a relationship, firstly, there is an explicit commitment in a marriage, whether it is a legal contract or a religious occasion, religious ceremony, call it whatever. There is a commitment that is explicit, or there is an implicit commitment if it is a live-in relationship kind of a thing. So there is a commitment. Number two, for breaking or cheating, what happens? There could be consequences. There could be a reputational consequence. There could be financial consequence, or there could also be emotional consequence, emotional turmoil for the people they care about. In spite of making the commitments and knowing the consequences, people are still cheating. They're not being loyal to their partners, a vast majority of them. Now, put the hat of a marketer and say if people in their personal lives with commitments and consequences are not loyal to their partners, why would we as marketers kid ourselves that consumers are going to be loyal to our brands? Is it a reasonable assumption? Just think about it. On the one hand, and on the other hand, in many of the Asian countries, I know they used to put those stickers behind the cashier in the retail shop. It says, customer is our king or customer is our queen. Now, loyalty. When you look at a loyalty, and if the customer is really the king or the queen, the brand is the subject. So is the subject supposed to be loyal to the king or the queen, or are the royalty supposed to be loyal to their subjects? Right? If you talk to consumers, they say, I expect the brand to be loyal to me. Whereas we marketers expect that people will be loyal to our brands. We got it all wrong. We need to reinvent the concept of loyalty completely. Today, for example, in my own case, when I look at my retail loyalty program, so-called, I have got Costco membership, I've got Amazon Prime, I have got Walmart membership, I got Kroger's membership. I got 4 loyalty programs for exactly the same product. What kind of a loyalty is that? Just tell me, right? We need to reinvent it. And the way I suggest it is what I call as preference management platforms, which means the concept of winning a consumer once and keeping him or her in your pocket for good is absolutely a fantasy. We absolutely need to win consumers' preference every time the consumer is faced with a decision. That decision has to be influenced in favor of our brand, and that is preference management. It needs a completely different architecture. It needs a complete mindset that has to be changed. You need to really reinvent loyalty completely. I talk about the same thing. Advertising has to be completely reinvented. How many people enjoy advertising? When I sit in front of YouTube and I'm watching ads, watching videos, there is a stupid ad which keeps interrupting me every 3 minutes or 5 minutes. Extremely annoying and irritating. We as marketers talk about giving seamless, frictionless, delightful experience to consumers. And here it is, this experience, which is nothing but lousy. Not only that, what happens when that ad comes in? I'm waiting to press the skip button. I'm not engaging with the ad. I'm not even looking at it. I'm looking for the skip button. And the moment skip button comes, I'm pressing it. Now, to make my life even more miserable, no, YouTube gives 2 advertisements, not 1. There's a 1 of 2, 2 of 2. I don't know if it is yet prevalent in the US, but in Asia, but it is in the US, there are 2 ads. So I have to suffer through 2 ads. So what do? I said, to hell with you. I either am willing to pay YouTube itself the premium that they require, so for YouTube premiums of $12 or $13, or I abandon the platform, go somewhere else. And in other situations, I go to ad-free environment where I'm willing to pay money to be away from these ads, like Netflix, who have announced 200 million plus subscribers already, who are spending more than 1.5 billion hours every single week on their platform, which means they are not available to marketers. On top of it, you have Amazon Prime and all the ad-free environments that are out there. For consumers, that is an ad-free heaven. So if consumers are voting with their wallets, they're installing ad blockers, they're getting annoyed. And we as marketers believe in giving consumers a delightful experience. Why would we hold on to the traditional mode of advertising? Why would we not reinvent? So that's one big, what do you call, challenge that, I keep throwing and saying, look, this is not how we should be doing. We should treat the consumer right way. And if you are annoying and putting an ad in front of the consumer when they are in an annoyed mood, the result is not going to be positive. And I can see it study after study across multiple companies that the ad effectiveness is coming down. So how do you really reinvent advertising completely? There is a role for communication. There's no question about it, but it's not the current way. We need to rethink. And I give some suggestions in my book. So my point is, there is so much of change that is in front of us with all these technologies coming in. Like AI, for example, is going to be probably the single biggest disruptor and enabler of marketing. If you know how to use these technologies, you will be the king or the queen. If you are not, you become a dinosaur. You can become obsolete very quickly. You can come out of the current existential crisis. If you're not right now in the thick of that crisis, it is about to hit you. You have to educate yourself. You have to get your heads around all these technologies. You have to become data savvy or surround yourself with people who are data savvy. You need to be a general manager, not a marketing specialist, but a general manager with a deep understanding of marketing. You need to connect the dots. You need to evangelize your function within the C-suite and build strong relationships. And it is a marketer's dream, actually, with the kind of technologies that are coming and the kind of data analytics that is available or going to be available. You can reach the consumer, you can understand the consumer while respecting their privacy fully in unprecedented ways. It's like being Alice in Wonderland kind of a thing, right? Literally, it's a wonderland. There's no better time to be than in marketing than now. So one last point I would like to say on this point is that when technology and data advance in a dramatic way, they democratize the field of marketing. When the field becomes level, when the playing field becomes very level for all the big players and the small players equally, you need marketing to differentiate. You need marketing to stay ahead. You need marketing for the company's growth. So marketing is going to be humongously important tomorrow. If only marketers know how to go about it. If only they really absorb, learn, stay current, invest time to learn, train their people, set up the infrastructure right from now, they can win in a big, big way. Now, all this I have covered at length in my book called Quantum Marketing. And I have been getting nothing but extraordinarily positive feedback. I feel very grateful for that. Hope many of you will have a chance to look at that.
And by the magic of Zoom, we are very pleased to introduce one and only Raja Menon, Chief Marketing and Communications Officer, President of Healthcare at Mastercard, one of the world's most iconic brands, as you've just heard. Raja, just a little bit more background on Raja. Raja leads the company's best-in-class marketing operation. Under Raja's leadership, Mastercard has launched innovative products and concepts that have had a significant impact on society and our industry. Very important there, is that's what today is all about, as us being a force for good and a force for growth for the people we serve in society. The company, Mastercard's Sonic DNA, True Name, Priceless Planet are just a few examples, and many you just heard. We're fortunate now to have Raja live with us. Raja is also on our board of directors. He's also the president of the World Federation of Advertisers, in which he's going to share his remarks. He's on the board of the Ad Council, among many others. Raja is the hardest working man in our industry. Wide-ranging global experience beyond marketing, has spent half of his career managing multi-billion-dollar businesses at large companies, including the health insurance firm Anthem, Citigroup, and Unilever. And as we just heard, his first book, Quantum Marketing, we're pleased, as we're all big fans of Raja, was published last year, but is also on the Wall Street Journal's bestseller list for business publications. It addresses all that we just talked about, the explosive changes taking place across our industry, and provides a solid roadmap, we think, on how marketers and anyone in our industry, frankly, can drive business growth and make an impact on the bottom line during this transformative era, so you can survive and thrive, just like we heard, a subject you'll be hearing about as we go along throughout the day. Raja, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Nick. Really appreciate having me here. And if those of you who are on the call have not yet noticed, I used to look like Nick about 20 years back. I keep joking with him that he is my twin, except that we have a huge age gap between us. But on a serious note, thank you very much for watching my presentation and hope you got some value out of it and hopefully a lot more provocation out of it. As I have stated, the world is changing so drastically and so dramatically and so rapidly that unless we consciously invest time and effort to stay ahead of these developments, we stand the risk of obsolescence in a big way. Like, for example, 6 months back, I didn't know what NFTs were. I don't know still how many of you who are watching this are aware of NFTs and how many of you are even thinking of doing something with NFTs. The reality is now NFTs is already sort of coming in a big way. And there are so many companies who are playing in this space. It's fascinating. The point is, there is so much happening. There is so much amount of development that's happening across technology, across the sciences, across cultural changes, and so on and so forth. We have to stay ahead. And that will happen through investing time. We have to learn. At this stage and age in my life and in my career, I still spend 5 hours plus every weekend trying to educate myself, not for entertainment, but for education. I take online courses, I read books, I watch videos that are educational, like TED Talks, etc. And I take reverse mentoring sessions or teaching by people who are experts, subject matter experts. Like, for example, at Mastercard, we have got a brilliant guy called Rohit Chauhan. He is the head of artificial intelligence. Now, I requested him, hey, Rohit, I need to educate myself on AI. Can you please teach me? He took a number of sessions and he taught me. And I feel so much better. And I did a course on Coursera on artificial intelligence. And this has made me extremely comfortable and confident, such that I'm driving my team to deploy AI confidently in different areas. And likewise, when vendors come and pitch their wares to us, everyone these days, it's fashionable for them to say, my solution is AI powered. But when you actually peel the onion and look below the surface, there is no AI there. It is just fluff, or it is just a what do you call buzzword that they're using because they know that this buzzword nobody wants to miss out on. But as marketers, we cannot be stupid and ignorant, and we cannot delegate knowledge. We have to learn things ourselves very clearly. So from that perspective, I sincerely urge each one of you, to invest in yourself, to learn and stay ahead of the curve. On that note, in fact, also I'm very delighted to be associated with the ANA and its Global Day of Learning, which I think is a very important kickoff point for many other people to kick themselves into action and do something about the learning aspect.